this is not a Broadway musical. Like, we're a rock band, and I want to be able to play different songs and mix it up.
What's up, everybody? Keefe from GhostCultMag.com here with the great John Bush of Armored Saint. How are you doing, John?
I'm really well. How are you, sir?
Punching the sky, figuratively, right out of the gate. Great to see you, man, always. And, just congratulations on everything. 40 years of Armored Saint, more than 40 years, probably. 40 years since the first release, and this huge, huge tour with W.A.S.P, the return of W.A.S.P to the USA. How's it going?
It's great. Everything's cool. We're getting fired up. The first rehearsal is actually today. It's going to just be the band, sans the vocalist today, just so they can make sure that they're playing things properly without me getting in the way. So it'll be an instrumental version today. But yeah, it's exciting. Our first show is a week from today in Vegas, and it should be a lot of fun. We're expecting some really great crowds. We've had some awesome ticket sales already. Some shows have already sold out, and I know people are excited to see W.A.S.P because they haven't really toured the U.S. in years, and I think that's going to be really fun and exciting, even for me. So it should be a great run. Everyone's really pumped.
Right on. Blackie is promising to pull out all the stops. They have not toured the U.S. in many years, and
Yeah.
even when they did, I think they were on like concept albums, and he was like shunning playing the hits, which all respect to the artist and his choice for the art. But I know like old school heads and maybe some new fans that have never really had a chance to see W.A.S.P or even really delve into their discography are pumped. And it's the same with Armored Saint. We've been very lucky that you guys have been very active the last few years, putting out a record during the heart of the pandemic. Not always, the best thing, but you guys had planned and prepared, and the tours before that. I was very fortunate. I was in New York City at the Gramercy for that big show, for the DVD show, and it was an event for me personally. I was right at the rail. I don't do the rail anymore. I'm getting too old and round to be at the rail, but I was up front for that one for real.
Yeah, I mean, most of the footage from the DVD is from that New York show. So we had some cuts. I'm not going to lie, from a couple other gigs, and that was always the intention. But the bulk of that show is from that Gramercy gig, and it was an awesome show. And we live in New York, and it's kind of a drag. We're not doing a New York show directly here on this tour, which is kind of a head scratcher. We're playing the Long Island, and then we're playing Jersey, which is going to be great, but I was like, and then originally we didn't even have an LA show. It was the only show was Anaheim, and I'm like, you do realize that we both started in LA, right? In Hollywood. Like, why aren't we playing LA? And then they finally added the show at the Wiltern, which is a great venue in Koreatown. It's amazing, beautiful old theater, and that's the last show of the tour. But yeah, it's regardless, it's going to be great. And we, as far as the touring and in association with Punching the Sky, we obviously didn't do it. So we're really eager to go out there and play some new songs, and I think they're going to feel really well connected with our old material, and it should be a nice combination of old school and still what we're doing currently, and it's going to be fun.
Killer. We're gonna have a nod to the old school as well as the new stuff, and I, for one, welcome puns on a Friday. I, for one, welcome to hear new material live. I will say, by the way, that even though I'm in California, we're all over the globe, and we just covered the Priest tour on the East Coast, and that Long Island show from my spies in attendance was packed with New York City people. So I suspect both of those New Jersey and New York shows will be full of heads. And yeah,
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
I think it's one of these things where like it's just a car pile up, right, in the music business right now, with releases and tours backing up that should have happened already, that are just happening now. So I think this unfortunately is going to spill over. You're seeing the release cycle for the year going into December now. Used to be you never put a record out after Thanksgiving, or now there's Record Store Black Friday, but like you would never put a new record out in December. December's for Christmas gifts and box sets, but now we're way off. That's way out. So I think this tour is going to be, a smash. Hopefully it leads to more touring for both bands, either together or separately. Like you said, we did not get a proper Punching the Sky tour. So, yeah.
I actually made a list of about like 20 to 30 other cities that we could actually play on another leg if we wanted to. So let's see how these days go. But I mean, there's so many cities that we're not even playing on this tour, which is a drag, like Seattle and Portland, and we're not even going to Canada. So we're missing Toronto, Montreal, to name just a handful. So I mean, I've already thrown that out there, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, let's get this going first. And if it's a love fest and everything's great and everyone's super stoked and the attendance is awesome and the vibes are amazing, then I don't see another reason why we can't go out and do a handful of not a handful, many handfuls more of dates, and maybe even take it to like South America or Australia. Because I look on setlistfm.com. That's one of my favorite websites. I use it a lot to, of course, see what we played in certain cities. And I realized that W.A.S.P hasn't, they haven't played in South America or Australia in a long time, or Japan. So, I'm sure people there would be really pumped to go see them there. Maybe we can make it work. It's a little harder when you're going overseas to make things work, because it's just more expensive. But hey, anything's possible.
That's awesome. It warms my little journalist heart that you use Setlist FM the same way I do. And, it makes me feel really good, because that's also one of my tools that I go to all the time. I don't know if I want to spoil a show for myself.
No.
So,
yeah.
But
I don't look before a gig. I don't want to look before a gig, because then it's like, then that might influence my decision. And, but afterwards, and I mean, how accurate is it? I see the set list from like 25 years ago. I'm like, really? Is this really what it was? I don't remember. But it's still fun, and I utilize it. And if we played a certain song, sometimes it's to the band's chagrin that I'm like going, we're changing the set, and they're like, what? And I'm like, man, we played this last time. We got to change it, man. Change it up. It annoys some band members, but I think it's, this is not a Broadway musical. Like, we're a rock band, and I want to be able to play different songs and mix it up and show people that we have a broad amount of tunes that we can play from our long discography here, and not just play the same set every night. And then what's that? That's boring. I don't want to do that.
Right. Not to mention, heavy metal is not Cirque du Soleil, which, no disparaging Cirque du Soleil if you like it, but we don't have to choreograph the songs to the lights every night. You guys can change the set, play whatever you want, and most, whoever's doing your lighting should be able to handle it,
Well, the person doing our lighting is going to be the house lighting guy at the venue every day. So he's probably not going to be able to get it at all anyway. So it doesn't matter what songs we're playing. Now, of course, that changes a little bit if you're W.A.S.P. They probably have a lot more of show associated with it. And, when you're Maiden playing a big arena, I get it. But you still could have a couple of parts in the show where you can say this song is, I know Metallica changes their set, which is great, so there's just no reason to. Pearl Jam, they played LA back-to-back nights. It was like half the show was a different set. I was like, that's amazing.
All respect over there. I can't tell you what I wore yesterday, let alone do a different set list tonight.
You may need a teleprompter then if you're doing that, but
hey, though some of these songs are 40 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old for these bands. I don't understand the public backlash. I think maybe the average brand new generation of concert goers, because they haven't seen a lot of concerts, don't understand how hard it is to pull off a show and what a level of professionalism and work you should be putting in to put on a good show for your fans. I personally don't mind. I wish I had a teleprompter when I played in bands 20 years ago. It would have made a lot of difference probably for me. It's hard to remember all these words you wrote and things as much as you rehearse,
Believe it or not, if I have to use a teleprompter for Can You Deliver, then you just shoot me now. But it's really the newer material that's the challenge. And those are the songs that I'm really focusing in, because it's the short-term memory was the issue. The long-term, that's us in the DNA. I could probably... I'm not saying I haven't made some mistakes lyrically live. I have, but usually it's not really an old song, because that stuff's just in there. It's really something a little bit more current that I might have some slippage. So
right on. And again, I imagine with the shorter set time than usual as a not headliner, you guys have to be a little economical with your time anyway. So hopefully we get enough of the hits and enough of the new material to satisfy the band, so it's fun for you and not a chore. I imagine the certain songs can never come out of the set list at this point for Armored Saint, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess that's kind of for everybody, any band, you got to play some of the standards. I don't need to rehearse them, but yeah, I remember being in Anthrax and we would just never like practice any of those old songs. It's like, come on, man, really? We had to play kind of mosh at rehearsal, then it's just something's wrong. So, but it's like, same with like Can You Deliver? I mean, really, it's the physical aspect of playing it. And certainly as a singer and a drummer, you need to have that physical aspect because that's what you're that you have to know how to sing those. You can't, but what I do is I kind of mess around with different songs that are parallel, maybe even from the same record, just so I don't burn out on stuff. Like I didn't even start working on the songs that we're going to play from Punch in the Sky until like maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, because I just did not want to burn out on them. I didn't want to sing those songs 6 months ago. I didn't need to do it. I didn't want to like go, by the time I play this first show, I'm already sick of the song. So they're very fresh.
That's awesome. I don't know if you go back to the prog rock era as a fan, but I just saw the really great new King Crimson documentary, and I saw there was a really great quote in it from Robert Fripp where it's like, why do you still, he's like obsessive about practice every day. And, he's like, if I stop for one day, I degrade. I have to keep trying to get better. For him, he's like 76. So, like, again, work at your craft, right? There's that 10,000 hours theory, right? You got to put a certain amount in. You've definitely put the 10,000 hours in two bands.
Well, and studies show, I'm plugging in my computer just so it doesn't die. Studies definitely have showed that, learning a musical instrument or playing music on any level, whether it's like singing or, being a shredder and guitar or playing harp or whatever, congas, it's kind of staves out dementia. So I mean, they're doing these things are things that are helpful for your memory and that can help you to kind of offset some of the negative things that I did for my brain cells back in the day. So we're trying to replenish cells here. So
We all did. It was rough, and I don't regret no regrets, but also, man,
no remorse, no regrets.
there it is. There it is. Out of curiosity, do you? I know there's been a very heavy year of touring for major bands. Do you get to go out and go to shows? Is it easy for you to kind of go amongst the crowd in Southern California and see shows, or is it a little weird for you?
I'm not that famous, Holmes. Plus, with my glasses and my no hair, I'm whether I'm trying to be or not, I'm pretty inconspicuous. I mean, in the metal world, people, will probably know me, but, if I go see like Trombone Shorty at the Hollywood Bowl, no one gives a rat's ass who I am. So, I want to see lots of shows and, I love going to concerts and I missed it just like everybody else. And, I try to go see bands on every level at the biggest venues or small clubs and, friends of mine, as well as, bands that I love for years. So it's, I love concerts and it's inspiring and, whatever it takes to just keep getting enthusiastic about music. Sorry for my dog barking.
No, it's okay. We welcome all the pets. Come on in. Yeah, I live in the Bay Area, so you see Lars at a lot of shows, and he's not even trying to hide because there's no point, right? And he's been out supporting his kids have a band, so
I know they're great too.
They're so good, and new records coming out soon. Taipei Houston, they're really great, and I got to hang out and talk to them too, so it was really cool.
That's cool.
They're super. They pack their own mom van up with their own gear. They roadie themselves.
That's great.
Super professional, no pretension. I saw them hanging out with their friends. No big deal shit. Dad's a huge superstar of rock and pop culture. No big deal, but they're very grounded, which is nice.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah, word. So for you, like you said, you just started a couple of months ago and just kind of getting ready. What do you need to do at this point in your career? You guys don't tour constantly, but I'm hoping this is the beginning of more touring in the next few years and maybe some new music. What do you do to stay in shape vocally?
Well, I still sing a lot, and I try to sing to, I was doing an interview not too long ago when we were promoting the record, and really, I'll just sing to, bands that I love. I'll just kind of go through my whole library of music. And today is Aerosmith, and tomorrow is, ELO, and then the next day is Metallica, and then whatever. So like, I'll just kind of go and I'll pull up the lyrics, and even if they're not accurate, of songs, and I'll just sing along and just do anything to keep me in shape. Is the key, is to keep my voice in shape, because otherwise, apathy, and then you're just not going to be very good. So it's a muscle like everything else. You couldn't be, a runner and just run every 3 weeks. You'll pull a hammy, so it's just about staying in shape, and that's what I do, and that's what I've done. So I really just started singing to the same songs, like I said, maybe a month and a half ago, if that, because again, I know these songs, and then we're going to rehearse, so I don't, it's really focusing on a new material. I'm not too worried about it. I like I said, I think it'll just come roaring back to me. It's as long as I'm in shape and stuff. So that's the key. And getting physically as well, by being active. And I still, well, I didn't play basketball last night. I'm pretty bummed because I've been playing on a weekly game, not just a pickup game, but kind of injured my calf. So I said, well, maybe I shouldn't. It's just like this chronic cramping that's happening. So I was like, I probably shouldn't play tonight and have a gig next Friday and a tour, because I don't really want to be limping on stage. Then I'll really look like an old man. So so I refrained from yesterday, and I was pretty bummed, but I think that was the right decision. So
Baby yourself before the tour. Chances are, if you're my age and you're going to this tour, your back's going to hurt the next day. Mine hurts right now, and I didn't do anything except get out of bed to do this interview and work a little bit today. So
little yoga for you, brother.
Yeah, some stretching is probably what's needed here, and a lot of hot showers. But yeah, man, next year is a big anniversary for the Saint. First, huge anniversary for the band. You also were, next year's the 30th anniversary for Sound of White Noise for Anthrax, so there's going to be a lot of talk about that. And I know before the pandemic, you had kicked around the idea, I think the idea was floated, that maybe you would, do a solo tour. You had done the Metal Allegiance stuff that was hugely received. I know I was at a couple of those. And I don't know if that's off the table, because the Saint is heating up and you're busy with a lot of stuff.
I will see what happens. I want to do that. I think that, I have the aspirations to do that. I don't want to go out and do 40 dates. But, I want to one day go out and do that. I think it would be really cool. I have some ideas of how to do it, and it doesn't even have to go accordingly to that. But I think one day would be really cool. And I'm more aware that White Noise came out 30 years ago next year. It's just a matter of making it work. I've kind of been messing around with a couple other projects that this is a little soon to talk about yet, and it's been fun and inspiring to really just write music and write lyrics still. And I feel like, hey, I still got it. So that's also something that I'm messing around with. I don't know. It's, it's fun to write, and feel like I still can really make a big contribution to being a songwriter, because I love doing that. So we'll see. I mean, I plan on being busy in music in some capacity over the next couple of years, and that could be another thing to be part of it, but we'll see. There's nothing concrete yet, but again, one day I would like to do that.
Right on. I've always thought of you as a guy, you could do anything, didn't have to necessarily be heavy metal or thrash metal. Mark Tremonti put out an awesome Frank Sinatra covers record this year and shocked everybody. It's so good.
That's amazing.
It's so good. And it's all for charity, actually, for an incredible charity job. So he not only put together, he played with like Frank Jr.'s band and Frank Sr.'s bandmates and put this record together. The covers are magical, and guy's got his own band and he's in 2 other bands, and so I always thought of you as a guy like you could do anything, and I think it would stick, right?
And I have been doing something that's a little different. It's a little more bluesy. It's a little bit like old school country. It's really cool, and it's been real like liberating to write something where I don't really have to worry about anything in association with metal, because it's just letting me be a writer and a singer, and it's been real fun. So anything that just kind of embellishes your craft, I think, is a good.
Right on. And while you're still got legs under you for Punching the Sky. Hopefully, going to get a full tour at some point next year. Do you think there will be another new Armored Saint record, or it's too early to talk about right now?
I mean, we certainly should talk about it. Me and Joey, we kind of casually conversed about it, but nothing serious. And it's funny because Metal Blade now actually has all the records because we were able to get the rights back to the first three Christmas records, and then they re-released them, which is cool. So now they have all the records. So like, there's a little extra motivation to maybe do another record because they would have all the product, but we don't actually even have an official contract with them at this point. So we would have to kind of do that, which I don't think would be an issue considering our love for Metal Blade and Brian and Tracy. But it's just something we need to probably talk about.
Awesome. If you go to the awesome Armored Saint website, which we're going to link in the description, there's a beautiful shot of all the the reissues and beautiful colored vinyl for Punching the Sky.
Yeah.
And all the other records. So, go there and buy your stuff, I'm sure, at metalblade.com/Armored Saint. For sure, they would like that. I say that. Just for a last question, man, I really appreciate your time. It's always great to see you and talk to you. We've done a few of these over the years, and I always come with a wild card question for the end. So I come with a different one every time, out of respect, and I keep it notes. And so for you this time, if you could have any three people to dinner, alive, dead, famous, not famous, who would you invite to the John Bush dinner of anybody you could invite?
Wow, that's crazy. Well, let's see. Let me just try to think of like a category that I would. Okay, so how about we could go with just saw recently Made in at the Rock in Rio show, and they were just so stellar and amazing. And I was just really blown away, as I've always been, by Bruce Dickinson, but this show in particular was just a whole nother level. So let's go with Bruce. We'll go with everybody who knows me knows I'm a diehard 80s Boston Celtics fan, even to the chagrin of others. In particular, good friends of mine, but we'll have to go with Larry Bird because he's a legend. And then let's see, who else could we throw in the mix that would be really kind of a weird person? How about Charles Dickens? Because I'm reading Tale of Two Cities, so that would be him. And Bruce would probably have a lot to chat about. Larry would be the odd person out right there with his Midwestern kind of style. So if they started talking, Bruce and Charles, then I could go to Larry and we could reminisce about some classic 80s games. But that would be kind of a weird combination of people.
How did a West Coast guy become a Boston Celtics fan
at
the height of Showtime when you were a young guy?
Weird. I just became enthralled with Bird, and it was. I mean, Magic was he's incredible, of course, and I had more and more respect for him as the years have gone on. But I probably was just trying to be antagonistic to my friends more than anything, which worked tremendously still to this day. So there was probably a little bit of that in there of I'm gonna mess with you guys and give you a reason to kind of unanimously hate somebody, and that was me. So in regards to basketball, at least.
There it is. Now we know. I am sadly still a Knicks fan from New York. Have not won since before I was born, and they probably will never win in my lifetime.
I can see going on. They got Jalen Brunson.
I know. They tease us every couple of years.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna have a better year than last year.
For sure, for sure. John Bush, catch Armored Saint on tour with W.A.S.P. Dude, it has been so good to see you, and I wish for you all the best, and looking forward to these other projects whenever they surface and we get news of them. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, brother. Thanks a lot, Keith. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. We'll see you in the Bay Area.